Welcome, I'm Sherry Damaris, and today I have with me very exciting guests on Zoom coming in to talk about Miso. And this is in celebration of the International or National Miso Day that's coming up in September. So we have Leigh and Tony from Miso Master, and I have these wonderful containers of miso that later on I'll be showing you some beautiful dishes like miso soup and dressings, sauces to make out of miso. Some people don't even know what miso is, so this is a great opportunity to learn and to try one of the many flavors that they offer. So welcome, Leigh and Tony. It's so nice to have you as guests, and I'm wearing my little sticker on this side in celebration of Miso Day that's coming up in September. So I thought, what a clever marketing idea, right? And they also have these wonderful pamphlets with recipes of all the different ways you can use miso, including barbecue sauce, and you can even put it on your pancakes, which is interesting. So tell us a little bit about the miso, and also Tony's here to talk a little bit about other products that he sells along with the miso. So welcome to you both.
Thank you. Happy to be here. So we are here to represent Great Eastern Sun Company based right here in Asheville, North Carolina. Great Eastern Sun is home to the Miso Master brand. We are the top organic miso in the country. We have over 50% of the market share of all organic miso, and we've been around for 40 years. So we've been at this since 1979 and traditionally handcrafted right here in Western North Carolina. And we're not only the largest organic producer of miso in the country, but actually in the world, if you're considering traditional crafted tactics that we use. We don't add any accelerants to the fermentation process. There's no sugar, no extra yeast. We make sure that it's done naturally in the natural environment and in Rutherford, North Carolina. So our miso is handmade about an hour from us at the American Miso Company, which we also own. And that location was chosen because it's very similar to the climatic atmosphere in Japan, where the original founders apprenticed. And at that time, there really wasn't any traditional Japanese miso or soy product being distributed in the United States. So it was very much a pioneering endeavor. So the original founders brought all their skills back from when they were in Japan and under who they apprenticed, the miso master there, and they lived in a very traditional homestead environment and really immersed themselves in how this miso has been made for thousands of years. So they brought it back over into North Carolina and found the perfect elevation, the fresh air, the clean water. It's a beautiful setting. It's in the country, and they found just the perfect atmosphere to let the miso ferment naturally, and that's like the beauty of our miso.
So Leigh, what I'm really excited to hear about is I visited Japan and I went through some of the old style miso companies where they cook the soybeans and layer them with the koji in these big wooden barrels and huge rocks that they carry and put on top of the barrels. Do they do that there in a traditional way still?
We do.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, we have the nice, almost like river rocks. They're very attractive. I was tempted to ask if I could take one with me, souvenir. Yes, we actually are processed, and I went to take another tour a couple weeks ago just to be refreshed. But it's quite impressive. We go about through 40,000 pounds of rice in 2 weeks. So 5,500 pounds of rice per run, and we can do about 4 miso runs in a week. We go through about 900 pounds of wet beans in a process. So this is a big process, and it's all hands on deck. The rice is steamed, and then it goes through an inoculator with and becomes koji. And even the koji you'll see in the videos that we're going to be playing in between the segment, the koji is hand massaged like into the rice, and that's also very traditional. And the rice will sit in with the koji and have a little fermentation for a couple days. And then on day 3, which the video I supplied will go through, that's when it's blended in with the beans into a mash. And then it's put into the barrels where it'll then age. And our misos age anywhere from a month to 2 years, depending on the flavor profile. When it ages longer in the barrels, which that's when you use the rocks to put the weight down on the miso paste, that's where we're going to make our barley and our red miso. It gets that darker color.
And this is the
got that strong umami flavor. And then if you want to go for something maybe a little less salty, a little less intense and smooth, that's when you'll want the chickpea miso, which is also our soy-free miso paste. And then we have the mellow, which is our top miso, and that's really smooth, and that's what you would mix in with your maple syrup to make a sweet umami maple syrup, or you mix in with a dressing. And oftentimes I like to cut the lesser aged, sweeter miso with the stronger, longer aged.
Yes, and I'll be demonstrating some of that today in our next episode of Cooking with These Beautiful Misos. What I love and appreciate about your company is they're so accessible. I mean, if you go into Whole Food stores or any natural food stores, they're so easy to find. So oftentimes as a macrobiotic chef and cookbook author, I'll recommend people start, just making their own miso soup, and it's hard to, for them to understand what miso is and how to use it and how to cook it. But just the fact that they can find it easily in their supermarket is great. And your company's been really wonderful about making sure so many markets carry this product.
And anyone listening who is still not sure what miso is, just sum it all up. It's a fermented soybean paste, and it's used much like bouillon. And it's traditionally made in miso soups with warm to hot water. You can add it. It's usually when you add it to the end of a soup and to flavor a broth. And there's much more to miso paste than just the soups, and that's what Miso Day celebration is all about. Coming up in September 18th, is learning that this ingredient is a staple and can be used in everyday recipes every day. You can blend it with mayo and make a spread. You can there's miso mustards, miso dressings. I just made a miso Caesar dressing this weekend, and it is the secret ingredient. Because I made it for other people, and I get the comment a lot, what is that? How did you get that flavor? And it's miso. You can miso pesto, miso hummus. So you can take this paste and really blend it in so many different ways.
Yeah, and even in desserts. I mean, in your recipe pamphlet, we talk about miso maple syrup or a caramel sauce in the back of the flyer. So I think you can use it in all sorts of creative ways. And I think restaurants are starting to use more and more of it too on menus.
Yes, there's the Chef Showdown going on right now in North Carolina through the Got to Be in C, North Carolina Agriculture Company. And mostly we're hearing about pastry chefs who are winning in the finals or in the preliminaries using miso in their desserts as the caramel sauce over like baklava and desserts. So that's actually mostly that's what we're hearing more about, is how successful the miso is becoming in desserts.
Nice. Well, tell me a little bit about National Miso Day. I guess this is the first time that we've set a date on the calendar for celebrating miso.
And how I like to put it, this is centuries in the making. So miso has been around for thousands of years, and since It's still going strong, and honestly, we've seen so much growth, especially since the pandemic, and a lot of people putting more focus on their health and health foods and fermented foods. So this is a fermented food. It's time to put a spotlight and give it a day. So Miso Day celebration is September 18th, and it's to celebrate the history of miso, but more so all the versatility of miso. So we are encouraging others to, on this day, this is worldwide, and it's whoever you are, wherever you are, to put your best miso dish forward. Whether you're a chef on a restaurant, on a store, if you're just a mom, dad, child, anybody, have a potluck and have a miso theme. Post your miso, whether you went to a restaurant and ordered a very creative miso dish, such as miso mac and cheese or miso glazed protein, post that on Instagram and get the word out there. Have fun with miso. Go to your store and purchase your favorite miso and have some fun with it. Get together with your family and friends.
I think that's so great to raise people's awareness of your product because it's so pure and so wonderful to have a fermented food in your diet. Tony, you want to tell me a little bit about how you help distribute the miso?
So we have our website, greateasternsun.com, and from there, people anywhere in the country can buy our miso. And I process those orders and make sure they arrive on time.
That is so wonderful. And we're going to break for commercial, watch your infomercial on miso, and then come back and talk to you a little bit about all your products and where people can find them. Welcome back. I'm Sherry Damaris, and we're talking to Leigh and Tony of their great miso company. And during break, I had a question. As you open up your packages, there's a little plastic neutral, it's called. Plastic neutral certified. Did you want to explain that a little bit, Leigh?
Yeah, so we're super proud of this new certification. We're really one of the first miso companies to take a proactive plastic neutral stance. It's actually more environmental for us to continue using plastic at this time because it has a less carbon footprint than it is to ship glass. Glass is heavier and it's very fragile, and there's often a lot of times reships on glass because of the breakage. So what we do is we weigh every container of plastic that we ship out, and then we pay that forward back to the repurpose company and to their cleanup efforts of plastic in the environment, especially in the ocean. So for every piece of plastic that we use, we have that predetermined weight. We sum that up at the end of the payment period, and then we repurpose those funds to then clean up plastic.
Yeah, we had Sandra Harris from Echo Lunchboxes talk about cleaning the plastics out of the ocean, so she'll be very happy to hear that.
Yeah.
The other thing is you can reuse these containers really well, like for lunches and things like that, because they're so sturdy. I do a lot of cooking for people in hospitals and stuff, and you can deliver food very easily in these, which is nice. Reuse them. Tell me a little bit more about the production of your miso, and what makes a white miso different from a red miso, different from a chickpea miso?
Well, again, we are very hands-on. We're very grassroots, largest traditional producer of miso in the world, even surpassing Japan with the style that we're still creating this miso. So it's pretty much a 3-day process to make the paste. We have day 1, which is our steaming day, where we steam the rice, inoculate it, add it with the fermentator, the koji. It's worked into the rice and the koji, and then it sits into like stainless steel rice tables for 24 hours. Then the next day it goes into the training room, and that's in one of the video. That's the wooden room that you saw, and it's divided into trays, and it'll sit there for 24 hours, and there's no temperature control. Again, it's just the natural environment of where the factory is located. Then on day 3, that's when we put it all together. We take the koji rice, we make the beans on the spot. We have a huge bean pot, and again, it holds about 450 pounds of dry rice, which will turn into 900 pounds of the wet beans. And our beans and our rice are domestically sourced, non-GMO. Another attribute that we're really proud of. So then we mix the cooked beans and our freshly steamed koji rice, and we mix that in, and it blends in together. We make the paste by applying pressure, and then it goes into the fermentation. Our sweeter miso is not fermented in the barrels, so that it has that sweeter flavor. It's very similar to winemaking. I actually worked at a winery right after college, and it's the same thing. If you want an oakier, stronger, more tannin wine, you go for the longer aged red wine from the barrels. If you're going for a sweeter wine, just like a sweeter miso, you're going to go for something in the stainless steel that's been aged for less time and a little bit smoother. We understand there's a lot of people. We have all different types of flavors that work well with us. So we offer 6 different types of misos in all. So you're bound to find the one that works for you.
Yeah, and like we said, mixing them sometimes, using 2 types in one soup. I do that a lot in my cooking classes. Dressings, they add like a new dimension of taste to the dressings. And sauces, especially, with proteins, it really helps balance out a nice protein. It helps it make digestible. So there's so many ways to use this product. It's incredible. And it lasts for a super long time because you're using small amounts. So a container, like a full-size container like this can last you a super long time. And it keeps well in the fridge, which is nice.
Yeah, and we do say, refrigerate it only because it'll continue to ferment.
Mm-hmm.
If you don't, and then it could just get more strong. So we say, when you get home, put it in your fridge. That way it holds its flavor profile the way it should.
Nice. And Tony, did you have anything you wanted to add and
Sure.
share about your products and how you carry the miso?
Great Eastern Sun also sells a range of traditional Asian staples. Here are some of other products that Great Eastern Sun has. Mm-hmm. We have hard noodles under the brand Organic Planet.
Yes, we have soba, udon, and lo mein. Very traditional products if you're making a miso ramen, miso teriyaki. But yeah, these would be your go-to.
Also, we sell garlic and ginger. This is under our Emperor's Kitchen brand.
What I love most about those products is we have pureed ginger. And so then there's no chopping. If you're, don't really want the heavy pieces of ginger in what you're eating, it just blends right in. So we have pureed garlic and pureed ginger, and no sugar added to any of these.
That's really wonderful, because today on the next episode, I am going to make the red miso dressing, which has ginger in it. So I had to dig out my little grater and my fresh ginger, but it'd be a heck of a lot easier just to open a jar.
We also have a range of seaweeds. Here's our toasted nori, and that's under our Emerald Cove brand. It's our aromated too, and untoasted. And this is, of course, crucial for any kind of soups or sushi as well.
And we sell the dole as well. Used much like a bay leaf.
So how can people, if they're, surfing the internet and they want to order these products that they can't get to a local health food store, how can they access the miso and the noodles and the seaweed?
The best place is going to our website, greateasternsun.com, and we ship anywhere in the country.
Nice. And wrapping things up, Leigh, is the miso company going to develop more flavors of miso, or maybe miso dressings? What do you see in store for the future?
We do. We have, to go ahead and announce that we have a miso mustard. And still in R&D. We have a name for it. You'll hear more about that. And again, that will be posted up on our Great Eastern Sun website. Yes, and dressing. So the condiments are coming. And for right now, we have lots of ingredient users and other manufacturers who purchase our miso in bulk. We ship pallets of 40-pound buckets to these companies that will make even frozen foods, Asian frozen foods and dressings, cheese. We have cheese manufacturers. It's even the food boxes that you can order meals from. We have companies that are using our miso as an ingredient to make their meals.
So if someone's in the local area, can they tour through your factory, or go? Is there a little general store there, or see the miso being made?
Yeah, they could reach out via email, and the contact information is on our website about scheduling that. And as many know, due to the pandemic, that wasn't an option, and now it's just reopened again.
Nice.
Yeah,
so
contact me.
I am super excited because I'm going to go into the kitchen studio next and start making some recipes using all these great samples you sent me in the mail. And I hope to be in touch because I know that your miso maker wanted to come on the show and talk about his own experience in making the miso. So we look forward to hearing from him too.
We'll be back.
As we wrap up, is there anything else you'd like to share with the audience? I want to put the photo up again of the celebration of Miso Day so everyone remembers that date in September, and they can go into their kitchen and experiment a little bit with some different flavors of miso and recipes. Is there anything else you'd like to leave our viewers with today, Leigh?
Have fun. Get ready for Miso Day celebration September 18th. Go buy your favorite miso and make it in a new recipe you've never tried before, and see how much you love it, even more so. And purchase miso year-round, not just in the winter.
And visit greateasternsun.com for all our products and more information.
That's so wonderful. I so enjoyed having you both on the show. I'm going to visit the website and definitely send some of my cooking students over there to buy some products. And I'm so excited that you're actually carrying sea vegetables, Tony, because I know with the recent, ocean pollution problems, it's nice to get some really good, clean quality sea vegetables, and that's important to use in your miso soup as well.
And also, just to quote, I love the dried shiitakes. They're so easy to use. You can break them apart in your hand and throw that in your miso soup.
I'll be doing that as well on the show. Yes, the miso soup always needs some shiitake mushrooms in it, as well as some wakame seaweed. So it looks like they can pretty much buy all the ingredients from the website, which is nice, along with the miso if they want to try some of these recipes.
And also we have peas as well. And all our products too are non-GMO and organic. So you really can't go wrong.
Yeah, it's so important, especially when you're using soybeans, to make sure that they're non-GMO.
And anyone going to our website for the first time, when you sign up for the newsletter, you'll get a $5 off coupon for your first order.
Oh, that's exciting. That's great.
And we have a recipes page. It's very extensive, and a lot of videos you can watch about our company and getting to know us more.
That is so wonderful and so nice to see inside your company. Any other flavors of miso that you're thinking of down the pike?
Not that I know of. I think we're pretty set.
With the red
actually
and
miso right now that even we're trying to meet the demand for.
Well, it's great that you supply restaurants as well, because I think
Yeah.
it's really important that restaurants start cooking with miso and use it in a variety of ways.
Yeah, we're hearing a lot of the miso desserts, but also miso mac and cheese, miso Brussels sprouts, and miso glaze.
Nice.
A lot of that is being used in the restaurants or on the hot bar and you're in a grocery store. So for Miso Day celebration, we are reaching out to a lot of the food service and prepared foods, the delis inside the natural food stores, and working with them to have miso recipes available as a grab and go.
And the nice thing I like, well, not boiling miso in miso soup I think is important, but when you're making a dressing or a glaze or whatever, it's fine to heat it up, correct?
Yeah, I think it blends well when at least it's warm. I take it off the heat. I sauteed some veggies for some quiches I made this weekend, and so I took it off heat, let it cool down a little bit, and then added some of the mellow white miso to the veggies, and it really just softens and it blends very well that way without having to heat it. And damage any kind of the nutritional structure it has.
Well, it's true with the darker colored misos, you don't want to simmer them as much as the white. That was my understanding.
Yeah, they just, again, once it gets into a warm environment, it just kind of dissolves. And it thickens. It gives your meals a substance, an extra substance to it. And that umami flavor, which is just huge. This is the umami ingredient.
Yeah, it gives a different dimension to the flavors of your dish.
And replace Parmesan cheese in dairy recipes, such as Caesar dressings or pesto. You can then use this to get that sharp, salty, hearty flavor without the cheese.
One of my macrobiotic teachers had taught me to roast almonds coated with white miso and then blend them, and it's like Parmesan cheese.
Yes. That's another education we've sent out to restaurants about what they can do with miso. And an appetizer at a bar, you can actually make mocktails or cocktails with the miso.
Oh, wow.
And then offering the miso glazed nuts along with it as a side.
Oh, that's so nice. Well, thanks again, Leigh and Tony, for sharing all the wonderful information about the miso. And I can't wait to celebrate Miso Day and show you some wonderful dishes to make out of these great flavors. And keep up the great work, and I hope a lot of viewers will visit your website. So thanks for joining me on the show today.
Thank you.
It was so nice to see inside your company. And I look forward to seeing you again on the show and talking more about how miso is made, because it's such an important ingredient for all of us at this time. So join us again. Make sure to join us again for another episode of Macro Magic.